Hey everybody, I hope you enjoy the cool lighting effects that I have from the trees. I wanted to make a video about trail cams and I guess Sasquatch cognition and some of my thoughts about why we don't get more trail cam footage of them. Now, to be sure, there are some trail cam shots, videos, and pictures that I think are you know pretty good as far as do they show an unknown creature. But there's not a ton, and so there's a couple different things when we really think about, okay, if this is a real creature, flesh and blood creature in the woods, and we have all these trail cams out there, why have we not gotten better footage of it? First off, I think if we do get good footage of it on a trail cam, you know, one of the first things that's going to happen is most people are not going to believe it. There's going to be some people that do, yeah, but in the age that we live in with technology, CGI, all that, there's obviously going to be a lot of armchair skeptics, and that's part of why I guess I've never pursued it more completely out here. I did experiment a little bit with trail cams at the very beginning, but they had these delays on them that it was a lot of me reviewing videos of something that I'd walked by but was long gone by the time the camera actually kicked in. And so that's part of the issue. It's very expensive to get into that, to get really good quality cameras. Um, but there are a lot of people out there in the world of Bigfoot who have spent tens of thousands of dollars on devices to try to capture them with little to no results. And so then you have to ask yourself, well, you know, if this is a real creature in the woods, why is it avoiding these things if it has no way of understanding really what they are? To me, I guess that's a little bit of a leap. When I first started working on this project, I had talked to a couple different people, one from the Olympic Project, one from the BFRO. And both of them told me, yeah, if you want to actually repel Sasquatch, put in trail cams. And so we have to really try to figure out, what is it? Is it just the novelty of it? There's a story, I'll post it on the Patreon, about a study they did in Africa with great apes, kind of testing and observing and figuring out which set of apes was, braver or more fearful of these devices in their habitat. And I think that's usually what most Sasquatch researchers go with, is that these are just such an elusive, secretive group of beings that they just, any kind of novelty like that, and they don't want any part of it. But to me, that's not really a good enough answer. And so I kind of just wanted to go through a little bit, I guess what you could say would be the potential history of Sasquatch with cameras. Um, okay, so if we start with the premise that these creatures are constantly observing us, they're very aware of what we're doing. Their first opportunity to be watching us from the woods and using a camera would have been, the middle of the 1800s, right? So the very first photographers get out into the forest and start taking pictures. Um, but at that point, I don't know. I'm guessing that it probably wouldn't have made much sense to them. But as time went on, and human homes became modern homes with windows and then eventually televisions and all kinds of art and computers and images. One of the things we know about these creatures is they love to watch people in their homes. And what do people spend a lot of time doing when they're indoors? They watch screens. And so these creatures undoubtedly have had, these experiences where they've seen that we're watching something that isn't actually there. If we're watching a movie that's filmed in the mountains or the forest, they would have seen this over and over again. So the question really becomes, do they have the cognitive ability to put together, the concept of, okay, here they are out in the woods with these devices that they're looking into, and then we see these images inside their homes that seem to somehow have captured that outdoor environment, you know? And I guess to me, it was a little bit more of a stretch when we were talking about very separate technologies, right? Like a Sasquatch wouldn't have the ability to observe the finished product in the field necessarily, right? Like if somebody is shooting on a video camera, they're not looking at it on a big screen. And so I don't think the Sasquatch for a long time would have had that ability of being able to instantly see the product of the camera's operation. But now, I mean, when you see people out there and they're just like shooting in the woods and they have these large, whatever they are, notebooks and iPads and everything else, I don't think it's that much of a stretch to think that if they're watching us, that they can see that somehow this device is capturing images, and so whether or not they would actually translate that into a trail cam, I don't know. But I guess I'm just arguing if they're anywhere near the level of intelligence of ancient humans, and everything we know now about that group of people's levels of intelligence, the ancient humans, I don't think it's beyond possibility that these creatures have a very basic understanding of what a camera is. Because, like I say, they see us operating them, and then they see these images later on screens. There's a video, I'm going to post it on the Patreon, by National Geographic, where they have these guys in Africa teaching a chimpanzee how to use a video camera. And when you watch it, like, of course it's not definitive or anything, but you seem to, it's like the chimp gets the sense of the basics of what's going on that somehow out here is coming into here, and so I don't know. It's a real head scratcher as far as why Sasquatch are so avoidant of trail cams in particular. But I think we have to at least consider the possibility that they maybe at the very least have a suspicion. Like I say, how they would piece these different pieces of information together. If they do have a language, depending on how social they are they teaching these things down? Are they like humans in the sense that they can add to knowledge over time? That as the technology has evolved, they've been able to get a clearer understanding of what these things are. And part of it too might just be, a lot of times, I know it sounds sort of woo or whatever, but I think that these creatures definitely can get a sense of our intent. I think if we are kind of feel like we're probing for them and this and that, and maybe combined with other activities like people out there wood knocking and that sort of thing, that might make them more fearful of these novel objects, because they kind of feel like we're trying to really scope them out and observe them, and they're used to, they're the ones observing us. I don't think they like it the other way around. So all of that's just a little bit of food for thought, and thanks for tuning in.